Hey guys, ACPB04 another review. This time I'll be doing the ACPB04 Kamen Knuckle Kurumi arms from Kamen Gaim. This is the fourth entry in the Arms Change Premium Bandai series, and the third single release. So this includes a few things: the Kamen Knuckle figure, 1 arms, and 1 set of weapons. So to start, let's take a look at the base figure. So here we have Kamen Knuckle, and we'll start off from the top, which is personally and pretty honestly the most interesting part about the figure itself, at least on its own. So looking at the head sculpt, starting at the top, you can see that's got a rather unique design with all these lumps along the top of the head. It's got this crest and ridge, it goes along over the eyes, got a red forehead gem there, the 2 eyes here which are divided in the middle, and are rather large and round. Got the mouth plate, which has some kind of dents and they look like breathing vents, and a couple of slopes on each side. And getting down to the body, it gets a lot more plain. So, seemingly because he uses a mass-produced version of the Sengoku driver, the bodysuit for Kamen Knuckle is actually the one with the least detail out of all of them. Starting with the torso, uses the same torso mold as Kamen Duke and Kamen Sigurd, meaning it's this very plain design with the kind of V-neck at the top for the collar. No pattern on it anywhere, but just the slight, little details for the curvature of the muscles. Silver armbands, the arms which are completely bare, nothing on the shoulders or the gauntlets. Have the standard cuff and fist, with the details being in silver. Got the Sengoku driver, which is the same as usual, though because of the version of the Sengoku driver he uses, the belt straps are painted in a dark silver rather than yellow. Got the legs, which are the same as always. It's a plain black color, with the knee and thigh or shin guards being in silver. And on the back you have the 2 elbow guards, which are in silver. Articulation-wise, is standard for arm change figures. Ball jointed head. Shoulders rotate 360 degrees, arms go in and out. Have a bicep swivel, single jointed elbows. Wrist rotation, 2 finger joints. Waist rotation. Legs go forward and back, in and out. Have a thigh swivel, single joint knees, and ball joint ankles. Though for my figures, some of the joints are a little bit on the tighter side. That's probably just quality control. Taking a look at the Kurumi arms, it's of course modeled after a walnut, though that's really more on the design than the coloring. As far as the plastic color goes, it's this very light orange plastic that I'm pretty sure the last time I saw this on a toy was the deluxe Powerdizer from Kamen Forze. And then you've got the various details to indicate it is a walnut. There's these various ridges, bumps, and grooves kind of sticking out all over the place. You've got these inner parts, which have these horizontal lines going all through them. They're painted in a nice gunmetal gray. It is, of course, a metallic gunmetal gray to give it a nice shine. And because of the design, they're, pretty much, there's a lot of coverage, and not too many holes. Just few in the front and in the back. So you don't really see too much of what's in there. You've got the hinges and the harness, which are done up in standard silver plastic. After that, you have the Kurumi Bumpers, which are done in the same plastic color as the Kurumi arms. And these are a pair of boxing gloves, modeled after walnuts. So these, you see that although they're supposed to be boxing gloves, they're basically designed as large fists. You see the 4 fingers and the thumb here. On the back, you've got the hand guards, which each have a hexagonal gem It's done up in metallic red with a silver border. Then for the rest of the paint, it's done up in the same gunmetal gray as on the Kurumi arms, and metallic silver for the wrist guard. And of course, the other Kurumi bomber is the same as first, just mirrored. So for the transformation, it's basically your standard arms change transformation. First, take it and attach it to the top of the head, snapping onto the shoulders. Then split open at the top. Fold down two halves to become the shoulder pads. Fold down the back piece. And fold down the chest plate. And slightly contract it or compress it in like this. And then you also want to equip him with the Kurumi Bumpers, and so that's a little bit of a complicated thing. I'll show you how to do that. So because these go on the hands and these use this kind of joint, the way it's designed is that you open these up, there's a little handle in each one of them, so you're going to have it grip the handle and then close it down. Now what I find is the best way to do it is to take the hand, slide it in like this. You get the fingers in under this part here at the top. Then use this part here to kind of close it in and push it down. You want to basically get it gripping the handle as much as possible. Just like this. Then close it down and have it so this part lines up with the wrist. That way, you get on there like that. It's the kind of thing where you might want to do a little bit of adjustment just to try to get the best grip it can, as you know, these things do have a little tendency to wiggle while attached. So having good grip is the best way to reduce that. So there's one Kurumi Bumper, and we'll do the other. It's the same basic process. I tend it's a little bit easier to put these on if you have the fingers already a little bit curved inwards when you put it on. So something like that. Make sure the fingers are nice and tight. And close it down on the wrist. And just doing a little bit of adjustment. Just like so. And then just straightening things out. Something like this. There you have Kamen Knuckle Kurumi arms. So like this is where he really gets all of his detail. You can see the helmet piece. He's got the same kind of walnut detailing, with the same kind of bumps and pattern as the actual shoulder pads here that form the outer shell of the Kurumi arms. Have the chest plate, which has the same kind of design, and more of that metallic gunmetal gray. The back piece, which has a darker shade of the gunmetal gray color there. And the shoulder pads, which have these gaps, which unfortunately don't quite work like they should, as theoretically these would be used so that you could basically take the arms and lift them up and then have the arms kind of go within the gaps, so as they would kind of not have these shoulder pads hinder the articulation too much. But unfortunately the gap here is not wide enough, so the arms will just kind of get caught on the end of it. So you more have to move up the shoulders more to actually get the shoulders to raise up more. Something like that. That being said, because they still have these hinges, it does still free up the articulation a good amount. And you can still rotate the wrists. So it does allow you to properly pose Kamen Rider Knuckle. And in honesty, kind of a boxing fighting stance is something that's pretty easy to attain with a lot of figures, as long as they have a decent amount of arm and elbow articulation. You also see the pattern for the eyes there. It's done in a nice metallic gold color. It has a nice texture to it. And of course, like with other arm change figures, you can use other arms on Kamen Rider Knuckle or use the Kurumi arms on other figures. And really, I'd say that with this figure, it's just best to have him posed with some kind of arms on, because that actually adds detail to him and keeps him from looking like a boring figure. Well, I guess you also want to be careful that he doesn't fall over, although maybe it's just some loose ankle joints on mine. So overall, this is an alright figure. Now, I wouldn't call it a great figure simply because, unfortunately, because of the way Kamen Rider Knuckle was put in the show, he did get that very plain bodysuit, which really doesn't have much going for it, aside from the new unique head design. And even then, with the way these figures work, it's really only the front of the head and not the back, since the back of the head is pretty much the same for all the figures, just so that that helmet piece can fit on. And really, I feel like he probably got this treatment simply because he was the last rider to be introduced in the show. But one strange thing is that from concept art that was eventually released within a kind of art book, it was revealed that at one point Kamen Rider Knuckle was planned to have a proper faceplate and the yellow belt straps. And it's definitely unfortunate that he ended up not having that, and so we kind of wound up having this rider who really only looks good with his arms on. Without him is just very plain, but the Kurumi arms are quite nice. I'd say it was a pretty good choice to use this kind of color instead of a more walnut-like color, as this bright orange does make him stand out and pop a lot. The Kurumi Bumpers are, a little bit rough in their execution, but I think they did a decent job at letting you equip these to a figure, and at least having them stay on, even if they're a bit wiggly. As far as option goes, this is basically your best option for a posable figure of Kamen Rider Knuckle right now. An SH Figures version was revealed, but not yet announced for release. So, basically, whether or not you want to buy this kind of depends on what you're doing as far as collecting Gaim figures. If you're already collecting the arm change figure and you want if you're collecting the arm change figures and you want a figure of Kamen Rider Knuckle to add to that collection, I'd say, yeah, go for it. But if you're just looking for a nice posable figure for Kamen Rider Knuckle, I would say, if you don't mind the way the arm change figures are, quality-wise, as not being entirely show accurate, and missing some paint, not having quite as good articulation as an SH Figure Arts, I'd say this is actually still a pretty good figure, as it is Arm Change Premium Bandai, so there's a lot of really good paint work done on the Kurumi arms and the Kurumi Bumpers that it probably wouldn't have gotten if it was a standard retail release. But if that's not your thing, then I'd say just skip this and wait for the eventual release, or the likely eventual release, of as a figure arts Kamen Rider Knuckle. But if Arms Change is your thing, and these kind of gimmick figures are the kind of things that appeal to you, and you like Kamen Rider Knuckle, I'd say definitely buy it, although I'd also say probably don't get this guy as your first Arms Change figure, and more get him if you have a few other Arms Change figures, simply because he's not the greatest, but for what he's worth, he is a good figure, and a good addition to the line. So, thanks for watching. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and check my channel for more videos, as well as my Facebook page. And for now, this is KRX50, riding off.